again want to emphasize that the scheme will be operational only through IceGate. So there will not be any manual intervention. There is also deferment of scheme for some of the exporters, which we will be covering at a later point of time. Unlike MEIS, so under MEIS, we've seen that normally the rates prescribed were somewhere between 2% to 7%. Unlike MEIS, the government has been strict about the rates or the benefits given under RODTEP scheme. Normally, the benefits range from 0.01% to 4.3%. In case of certain products, they have also given caps on the they have capped the values on the basis of per unit of the exported product. The salient features of the scheme are that the scheme is going to reimburse taxes and duties which should not have been refunded or reimbursed under any other mechanism, such as duty drawback, GST credit, refunds, or central or state government exemptions and subsidies. There is a specific bar in the notification in this regard. And in fact, it is for these embedded duties and taxes which are never refunded by the government under any of the schemes. The government had called for data, and on that basis, the ceiling rates were determined. And finally, the benefits which are being given now to the exporters in the form of scrips have been arrived at. So just to give you an example, suppose I am an exporter and I have claimed GST credit, and my credit is on various inputs is lying unutilized. Could be for any reason, could be because I have zero rated supplies or there's an inverted duty structure. Such credit which is lying unutilized, and this credit will not be reckoned for the rates under RODTEP scheme by virtue of the fact that I have already taken the credit. So these taxes on which I have taken the credit, I will not be entitled to include these taxes for the purposes of arriving at my RODTEP scrip benefit, because otherwise I am unable to utilize the credit. The government is very clear: if you are taking credit, if you are getting an exemption, if you are getting a rebate, they are not going to give you the benefit. In fact, it is not even material that I am not taking the credit. I may want to say that I don't want to claim the credit. I want this to be covered under RODTEP. Government will say, no, nothing doing. This is otherwise available to you as credit. It is immaterial for us whether you are claiming this as a credit or not. You forego your right to take the credit, but I am not going to include it for the purposes of calculating your RODTEP benefit. Further, another point, the scheme is also restrictive in nature, as no benefit is available currently to SEZs, EOUs, advance authorization holders, which was a situation contrary to MEIS. Further, under MEIS, almost all the products were covered. But as we all know, many sectors have been left out under RODTEP scheme. The government say that it's a policy decision taken by them, and they don't want to interfere, and therefore the courts may not want to interfere with it. So in such a situation, all the sectors which have been left behind and which will be bleeding on that account, because the taxes and duties which are covered, we'll show you the list of those taxes and duties. Those are suffered by everybody who would be exporting goods and services. So, you may make representations to the government asking them to give you the benefit with respect to such duties and taxes which have not been covered for your sector. The kind of duties which are covered, which are otherwise not refundable, are, we have projected the list of such duties on the slide. There is VAT on fuel for transportation and other purposes, mandi tax, duty on electricity charges, stamp duty on exports, embedded CGST on inputs for transport sector, central excise on fuel for transportation and other purposes, etc. So these are the kind of duties which are already covered under the RODTEP scheme. which are otherwise not refunded under any other mechanism. Now let us analyze the long list of ineligible categories. So every exporter, Prati, you can move to the previous slide. So every exporter who is manufacturing, who is exporting manufactured goods, goods which are manufactured in India, and they fall under Appendix 4R, will only be eligible for the benefit of RoDTEP scheme. So this is something similar to MEIS. Even under MEIS, benefit was available only when the goods were manufactured in India, and the same scheme follows under RoDTEP also. The ineligible category covers various people. The first would be simpliciter, import of traded goods. So if I'm importing goods and then I'm exporting those goods as such out of India, I am only a trader and I will not be eligible for RoDTEP scheme because the goods are not manufactured by me in India. Exports through transshipments, meaning exports originating in third country but transshipped through India. Again, we have landlocked countries like Nepal, etc., where in order to send the goods to Nepal, the goods are shipped via India. So the goods are actually not exported from India, but they are only going via India. We will not be eligible for claiming credit in respect of such exports. Export products which are subject to minimum export duty or minimum export price. So there is a list of various goods which are covered under Schedule 2. For example, leather items, some of the chemicals or manganese oxide, etc., which are subjected to export duty because government wants to discourage export of such items. So those products which are subject to export duty or which are subject to minimum export price, such goods are also not covered under the list of RoDTEP. Products restricted and prohibited for exports under Schedule 2 of the export policy in ITC. Again, there is a long list of goods and services which are restricted or prohibited. And with respect to those products also, MEIS RoDTEP benefit will not be given, even if you are exporting these goods outside India. Another category of goods which are excluded from RoDTEP is deemed exports. So deemed exports would be a situation where the goods are manufactured and they do not leave the country, but they are considered as export. They are deemed to be exports. This would be exports by a DTA to an advanced license holder or under EPCG scheme, or there are also various products which are contracts which are funded under ICB, International Competitive Bidding. So those kind of exports transactions are treated as export, deemed to be exports, but no RoDTEP benefit will be given to the assessee on these transactions. Supplies of products manufactured by DTA units to SEZ, FTZ, WZ units is also outside the purview. In this regard, under MEI scheme, there was a dispute. So there was a DTA manufacturer who did not have export orders. What he did was he manufactured goods and he exported those goods through the SEZ. The issue went to Bombay High Court because the department disputed such an export on the ground that because it is in export by the SEZ, you are not going to get the MEIS benefit. The court held nothing doing. These goods are actually manufactured by the DTA unit, and DTA unit is only exporting these goods through SEZ. So therefore, they should be entitled to the MEIS benefit. It should not be treated as these goods have been exported by SEZ. So though the matter has been remanded, but this was a specific finding given by the High Court. So because there is a similar restriction under RoDTEP scheme also, if and when such a situation arises, the exporters may take benefit of these kind of decisions to get their claims from the department. Products manufactured in EHTP and BTP are also not covered under RODDEP. Goods which have been taken into use after manufacture, again are ineligible for RODDEP benefit. These are your second-hand goods. Just to give you an example, suppose I have imported an item and I have, before exporting it, I have to test the goods. A typical case would be that of mobile phones, where you have to export the mobile phones after testing. What happens in that situation? Whether it will be treated as an item which is put to use, we know that there have been similar disputes under the drawback scheme. So, when these kind of situations arise, one will have to give meaning to the expression taken to use to mean something which is actually used for manufacturing purposes. But again, this has to be tried and tested before the court of law. Products manufactured partly or wholly in a warehouse under Section 65 of the Customs Act 1962, which is your mover scheme, allowing manufacturing operations in the warehouse. This scheme was introduced by the ministry in 2019. Again, one of the very popular schemes nowadays, which is being applied for by various exporters who are looking at expansion, not only exporters, but even domestic sellers, who clear goods domestically, they are also applying under the scheme. So when you manufacture products partly or wholly under mover, you will not get the exemption benefit under RODDEP. What is manufacturing partly or wholly is not clear. So, when we compare the definition of manufacture under foreign trade policy with the definition under the central excise law in the previous era, we understand that the definition of manufacture under foreign trade policy is much wide. It covers lots of operations like, testing, polishing, painting, which are otherwise not amounting to manufacture under the excise regime. So what happens in a situation where I am sending my goods to an operator under mover only for the purposes of painting or polishing those goods, and those goods are then returned to me, and maybe I use those goods for manufacturing something, a different product, whether I will get the benefit or whether the government will come and say, because these goods are partly manufactured in the warehouse operating under mover scheme, you will not get the benefit. They may say that we'll go by the definition under foreign trade policy, which is wide enough to cover your kind of activities, and therefore, so long as some operation is done under mover, we will not give you the benefit. Again, this will be a litigious issue, and the exporters, as and when these kind of disputes arise, we'll have to see what kind of legal arguments can be taken, defenses can be developed to ensure that our claims are not jeopardized.
Ma'am, just one question.
Yes, Kriti.
Sorry, just a little doubt. So the scheme is available to goods that are manufactured in India. So there everyone will be wanting to cover their process within the definition of manufacture under the FTP.
Correct.
And the exclusions are also, the one exclusion which you were talking about, products manufactured partly or wholly in a warehouse under the mover scheme. So here we will be arguing that, or here the assessee would be trying to fit his process outside the definition of manufacture.
Correct.
So this aspect also has to be very carefully addressed if such a dispute is raised by the department.
Absolutely correct, Kriti. We'll have to see to what extent we can use the definition in our favor. And of course, if we are doing so, then we should not be jeopardizing any of our future claims. Absolutely. So these things, while the assessees are making claims under RODDEP and they are structuring their transactions, they'll have to take into consideration these ineligible categories and accordingly take decisions.
Right.
Products manufactured or exported in discharge of export obligation against advance authorization or DFIA or special advance authorization, which is special advance authorization is a scheme which is for garments, etc. So, these, if your products are manufactured or exported under these schemes and they're considered for discharge of export obligation, then you will not be eligible for RODDEP. Again, one point, which requires interpretation is, what if I am an advanced license holder and I have imported goods under advanced license without payment of duty, but the goods manufactured out of it, I have not considered those goods for discharge of my export obligation. Whether I will be covered by this exclusion or not, no answer. One may say that so long as I am not considering such an export towards discharge of my export obligation, I should not be hit by the exclusion. So again, this can be a question of interpretation, and issues in this regard may arise. Products manufactured or exported by 100% TOU, FTZ, EPZ, and SEZ, they are excluded. In fact, the benefits with respect to these categories will be notified by the government at a later point of time. That's what the government has highlighted in the notification. I personally have a doubt in this case because, the rates which have been fixed by the ministries are the rates on the basis of data given by DTA. The EOUs or the SEZs have never given any data. So now when tomorrow, on the basis of representations being made by various exporters, if they decide to include these units also under the list of eligible categories, then how is the data going to be determined? That is one question. How will they apply the rate? Whether they will apply the same rate or they will ask for fresh data to be seen. Second is, today if they decide that we are going to cover EOUs or the SEZs, whether this kind of exemption will be, benefit will be available to them retrospectively or prospectively. Again, no clarity. We will have to wait out and see. Though, assessees would want to argue that this being a beneficial scheme should be applied retrospectively, the department will say, no, the government has, this is a specific scheme which is issued in favor of the assessees who are operating under EOUs and SEZs only from today. And because it's widening the ambit now, it should be read prospectively. So this dispute is likely to arise. Products manufactured or exported availing the benefit of notification 32 of 1997. This is the notification which takes care of job work. So, assessees, when they import goods for job work purposes and then they re-export those goods, there is exemption under customs. They are not required to pay BCD. The government is saying that when you are exporting these goods after job work, you will not be eligible for RODTEP. And the last category, of course, we've emphasized on this time and again that this will be available only with respect to all the exports which are done electronically, which would mean that any export from non-EDI port is not covered in the list of categories. To my mind, this seems to be a little restrictive and one will say that the government will say it's a policy decision we've taken because we want to monitor these scripts, etc., being issued. And we want to ensure that unlike the frauds which were happening in old schemes like BFIS, etc., that should not happen under RODTEP. But there can be a situation where because of system glitch or because of any other reason, an exporter has to export goods through non-EDI port. Merely for the reason he's exporting through non-EDI port, he should be denied RODTEP benefit. I think it's a bit excessive on the part of the government. And a suitable representation should be made by the exporters to say that they should come out with a category, and on exceptional cases, they should allow RODTEP benefit even to non-EDI port exports.